Today I'm going to talk about securing Azure Pass. There's a S missing in capital, so it should be PAAS. So it's a typo done by me, so that's okay. So I think I have been introduced, so I'm not gonna go and talk much about myself because it's already there. Um, so let's go ahead and check the agenda for today. So what we are going to talk about is a bit of security advantages in using Azure Cloud, and how we have to think about the defender mindset when designing applications and setting up cloud-based applications in modern way. And then what is the best approaches in setting up identity perimeter, that I will take you through a bit of a journey. And then we will look at what are the considerations of application designing when it comes to security aspect of PaaS in Azure Cloud. And then we are going to look at the main platform service available to deploy applications as Azure App Service. So what is the best practices when using Azure App Service considering the security? And we can have a look at a bit of web application firewalls, app gateways, and utilization of APIM into building secure applications. Then there will be special consideration given to app service environment because that is far more isolated than secure implementation of app services. So we will be talking a little bit about that one as well. And the next most important thing would be Azure Security Center. We will go through it bit in detail to identify what we can get as benefits when implementing cloud-based solutions. Okay, to begin with, let me take you to security advantage of using Azure Pass. The first one is actually, if you look at the bottom of the this graph, you can see the attacks on the Azure infrastructure. Like it will be very expensive to do for an attacker. So because the Microsoft Cloud is continually monitored by Microsoft, and it is always handled by top class security experts. So if somebody is trying to attack Microsoft Azure Cloud, it would be an expensive affair. So that's one major reason that there is potential security than having your on-premises setup or having your own data centers. The Microsoft covers your security and covers your back there. And when it comes to network configurations, risks are similar, but it's depending on how you set up the on-premise or even the cloud network configurations. But in the cloud scenario, mostly the network is considered kind of compromised. So I will be talking about a bit more on that in the next few minutes. So when it comes to application code, regardless of whether you are deploying it into on-premises or into a cloud environment, the application code security is the developer's responsibility, and how the things are handled in application, like prevention of, say, for example, SQL injection or something like that, is totally up to the developers. So its major part is played by how the application is designed and developed rather than the hosting platform. When it comes to identity, whether it's on premises or using cloud platform, there will be identity support because Microsoft Active Directory configuration works similarly well in on-premises environment, like it's more secure. And when it comes to Azure Active Directory, maybe integrated with your on-premises Active Directory, can provide the same level of security and more features on top of that. So we will be digging deep into that one in a short while. And the admin access, regardless of on-premise or in cloud, if your admin access accounts are compromised, that would be a thing to consider, because that's a high risk. So how you can secure your admin accounts is a big consideration, whether it's a cloud or on-premise. So there's the risk in the same way, and and user endpoints and those things configuration will be depending on how you set up the privileges and how you configure the privileges. So that's the consideration in here. And then application data and key management, we will be looking at further details in a couple of minutes, so I will not talk right now, but there is a potential good ways of securing application data. When it comes to modernizing the Defender mindset of cloud-based application designing and utilizing Azure PaaS especially. So in the on-premises scenario, most consideration into security was given to the network, and its firewalls, network, and all those things was the primary consideration of securing an application. But when it comes to platform as a service offerings in the cloud, the major security consideration would be identity. How you set up identity, and because it's already broader network access with cloud computing, and you can access it from anywhere. So it's regardless from the location, and you can it is getting accessed from everywhere around the world. So you can access it via corporate network or from your home network. So it's already can be considered as you already have compromised your networking ability. But yes, you can go ahead and set up certain security in there as well. But we will better focus on strong authentication and authorization mechanisms, so that it's mostly on identity as the primary security perimeter when it comes to PaaS kind of an implementation. So let's look at a bit of like what are the best practices involved in identity perimeter. So the first thing is securing your keys and credentials. Now Azure Key Vault plays a major role there when it comes to PaaS implementation of Azure, because Key Vault is actually hardware security modules backed and keys are available. So if you are going for premium pricing tiers with Azure Key Vault, you can even store your credentials and keys as hardware security modules. But nonetheless, like even if you are using Azure standard Key Vault practices, still you can go ahead and your keys are encrypted, whatever your secrets are encrypted using hardware security modules backed keys. So that actually protects your Azure Key Vault stored keys and certificates and even passwords in a really secure way. And how you can consume that from app services is a simple procedure. But those settings will be never exposed to outside applications other than the application that is dedicated to use that. And how we can do it can be discussed in a moment. And then the secrets and credentials, you shouldn't store any of your secrets and credentials in source control systems such as GitHub, or even if you are using Azure Git repos or like GitLab or whatever the source control system, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't store any of these certificates, keys, or secrets in your source control, or even in CI/CD pipelines. Some people store stuff in CI/CD pipelines, the secure information. That is not a good practice as well. Like it should be you apply your configurations and security details into Azure Key Vault when it comes to Azure platform, and then access in your CI/CD pipelines when you need to retrieve those information. You can utilize them from the Key Vault rather than trying to keep them in the CI/CD pipeline itself. So the other thing is you need to implement a strong authentication and authorization platform, such as You can federate the identities with Azure AD and then use platform supplied authorization and authentication mechanisms. And there's really good multi-factor authentication mechanism available with Azure AD. So you can enable those things, which will let you securely control access to your applications, as well as, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's accessing your Azure resources or whether it's accessing to your applications. You can protect all of these things with proper authentication and authorization using Azure AD based authentication mechanism. So those things are using Auth 2 and Kerberos, so you can utilize those things to set up this commercial level authentication mechanism provided by Microsoft. So rather than trying to implement your own security mechanism in an application, it's better to set up such security, because Microsoft is really having employed a lot of people, experts in these security areas, and they are considerate about security and compliance a lot more than individuals who are having not much experience or exposure to setting up such security mechanisms. So so when it comes to Azure Identity Management, I'll mention a couple of things. You need to treat identity as the primary security parameter, as we discussed, and then centralizing the identity management is another important factor, because let's say you have an on-premise Active Directory. It's better if you do use Azure Active Directory sync with your on-premise directory, and then enable single sign-on, which would be beneficial. But when you're setting up such single sign-on, you have to be again considerate to not to expose maybe your highly privileged accounts. So there is mechanisms in Azure AD Connect to filter out those unnecessary syncing. So that way you can actually ensure that your highly privileged accounts are not compromised. So that's a possibility. And then you can use password hash sync kind of mechanisms, where your password hash would be captured by both the on-premise and shared by both on-premise and the Azure Active Directory. So in that case, whatever the changes that you make in one place is effective to all the places, as well as it will be much more secure and less compromising to use it. And it's important to lower the expose of the privileged accounts. So in that aspect, what you can do is require all the admin accounts and etc. to be having high privileges, to be multi-factor authentication, like you can utilize a mobile-based authentication, email-based authentication, or maybe some sort of authenticator, such as Microsoft Authenticator, to do multi-factor authentication before you sign into a particular task. And further, you can go ahead and implement something like let's say for administrative purposes, having a separate workstation. So where from admin account, you can log on to such administrative work only from given workstation, and you can go ahead and do a network security based access control there, so that it's much more secure than directly allowing anybody to come into the network via the any network, any location or something like that. So you can have specific machines dedicated to admin purpose, which is more secure enabled way. And we should, I mean, being developers, we should always consider how we can handle the application design considerations when it comes to implementing services in Azure PaaS. So couple of things which can be actually these mitigation solutions may not actually 100% achieve the need, but like in a scenario where spoofing can be applied, maybe making HTTPS connection required in Azure App Services, maybe a sort of solution. And when somebody tries to tamper the things by like interfering with your parameters that are passed between services, you can use validation using some sort of certification. So I will be further talking about APIM and those stuff, and maybe I will also demonstrate something on application gateway, where you can actually implement some sort of security. And then when it comes to repudiation, that is people allowed, I mean, people's work or action is not that monitored, and then people can perform wrong actions, so that can be avoided by having implemented proper diagnostics and Azure Monitor capability, and that would prevent taking such actions. And even Azure Security Center facilitates major improvements in these areas, so which we can look at towards the end of the session. And then for the denial of service kind of things also, you can go ahead and put monitoring performance matrices and all those things to pre-identify in that kind of situations could arise or not. And sometimes users may use elevated privileges, so that sort of things can be addressed by using Azure AD Privilege Identity Management solution. But in order to use that, you need to have some premium V2 kind of pricing tier or licensing tier on Azure AD. So you have to set up such things to get it done that way. Okay. So even though okay, let's more look at into app services. Like app service is basically where you can set up your mobile or web applications, or even logic apps or API applications. And so that means like you can host even APIs, and you can perform integrated scenarios, or you can even have some sort of a connected workflows kind of scenarios, and even connect data from on-premise and utilize them with Azure App Services. Now, these Azure App Services lets you use in multiple purposes, and it's important for you to know how to secure these app services in a better way. So the first approach would be to use the proper authentication mechanism. Again, like if you are implementing a cloud-based application, it is recommended that you use Azure Active Directory as your authentication mechanism, and you can use identity management that is available with Azure Active Directory, and you can create users, etc., groups, everything inside Azure Active Directory, and let your application handle permissions and role-based access control based on the Azure Active Directory user roles and privileges. So you can set up your own groups and define privileges based on that, and you can utilize in the development time, as well as you can use that in the your actual deployment scenario as well. And when it comes to keys, we have already talked about how we can secure with Azure Key Vault. Azure Key Vault helps to keep all the things, all the special keys and secrets, passwords, even your certificates in a secure way inside the Azure Key Vault. So you can treat for secure passwords, etc., the only source of truth as the Azure Key Vault. So you shouldn't keep it in anywhere else, like not in your source code, not in your source control systems, not in your CI/CD systems, but rather keep everything manually added to Azure Key Vault, so that it's the only place that is available. To enable app service securely access these credentials, what you can do is there's something called manage identity, where you can assign an identity in Azure itself for any resources. So you can enable such identity for app services, and that identity can be permitted to get all list required Azure information from Azure Key Vault. So which we can maybe, if I have a Key Vault already created, I will try to showcase that as well. And when it comes to Azure Security Center, there's a lot of monitoring and policy creation is possible, which we will be going ahead and discuss, and that can actually monitor Azure app services, and even Azure Infra. So it is not only applicable to platform as a service, but it is applicable to infrastructure as service as well. So let's move on and have a bit of look at the app services best practices. So one thing is you can use app service environment is totally isolated and facilitated with VNet integration, which we will have a bit of look at in a while. And the other option is you can use things like app gateways, APIMs, and to kind of do secure routing. So we will just have a quick look at app gateway and a simple implementation of a function app, which is another app service implementation, how it works in a quick demo. So let me try to share my screen again to show you the browser. Okay, let me try to share my browser window. Okay, now in here you can see in a resource group, I have created a couple of resources. You can see there's a function app. So in this function app, if you go ahead and have a look, this is a very basic function app, and I'm only having a single function here. So which is allowed access with anonymous use authentication, now which is not a good practice, as I mentioned, like it should have been better implemented with the proper security and like access control. But here I have just wanted to demonstrate you the capability of app gateway and the app service preventing access from outside. So now this application, this function application is having this single function, which is you can retrieve the URL from here. So in a scenario where this URL is compromised, or even if this URL is found, like if you try to access this URL, let me put the required parameter as well. So I'm exactly knowing the implementation of the function app. Still, it would be saying error and 403 forbidden. Now, the implementation behind this thing is like how this is secured is this function app is not accessible by outside, but it is only allowed to be routed a call via this app gateway. Now, app gateway is a kind of mechanism where you can even enable the web application firewall, which we will look at in a while, which is actually based on listeners and routing endpoints and routing rules. So a listener would be something that would be listening to incoming requests, and like I have enabled a listener here, which is actually looking for port 80 calls. But this is not ideal because I have only implemented HTTP. It should have been HTTPS. Only reason I have not created is HTTPS is a actual certificate would be a costly affair. So for a demonstration, I would not want to create a certificate. Else, I could have easily created a certificate and make this a HTTPS. So that's the ideal practice. Even though I have used this HTTP for the demonstration purpose. And in the rules, what we can define is if I go and show you this particular path-based rule for the function app. You can set up multiple rules in an app gateway, but I'm not going to go into details. But here you can see in the backend targets, I have set up it as my function application, and this is configured as to route anything that comes into this URL into API asterisk. That means any API available in the function app would be able to be accessed via this app gateway. So that can be routed like that. And when you're designing backend pools, there's something called backend pools where you can set up your backend pools. Now, even you can set up backend pools targeting VMs. Like that means like if you access this app gateway with a, if you see this HTTP settings, it is actually listening on port 82 to route back to this VM. So if we route back to this VM, it will show up a website, but I'm not going to go into talk about that. But it's kind of infrastructure as services and hosting that in a cloud VM and then routing it via app gateway. But here for this one, the backend is defined as, you can see the backend is defined as the function app. So and you can even test these backends by using backend health. There's a backend health check where you can ensure the backend is properly connected to your app gateway. So this is one sort of a scenario where you can enable some sort of networking protection into your applications, and you can see my machine is not available, so that's okay. But the function app backend is healthy. So that means if I try to access this via application gateway IP or something like that, I should be able to do the accessibility. So if you check, my public IP is set up as 20.42.38 and 213. So if I try to go to this one, so if I try to go to that one, the function is executed and the return message is received from the function. And since I have configured a DNS setup, you can even use the URL like this and still access the thing. Like now, this is the public IP DNS setup for the app gateway. So this is a basic way of implementing a bit of security. And how I have secured the function app is, there is a networking policy in function app where you can configure only access is allowed from a certain IP or something like that. So you can, I mean, go ahead and configure VNets, etc. But I'm not going to talk about that part because right now, even if you are adding a app service or even function to VNet and a subnet in that, it would not be secured from outside traffic. It will still be accessible. So if you want to prevent it from accessing something like that, you need to apply a restriction here. So I add a specific restriction saying I'm only allowing access to the app gateway. So that way you can even without using app services environment, you can still secure your Azure Cloud Platform services like app services or even function applications using routing restrictions from certain given incoming IPs. So this incoming IP restriction is a good feature for you to have some sort of a restriction, and this can be more valuable when you are using APIM management. So I will just talk about APIM in a little while. So let's get back onto slides. So let me go back and share my slide set again. Okay, all right. So the next option is here. Now we have talked about this app gateway, and like we have had a quick look at how we can secure a microservice kind of thing. So it's you can consider this microservice as a function app that we have implemented, and the thing that we have looked at. So it can, I mean, app gateway can route your calls through that. And similar way, even APIM also can do the same kind of a task, but there is a difference in APIM, which is unlike app gateway, you can issue a subscription key. So when it comes to APIM, you can define products, and for each product, you can implement multiple subscription keys, one or more subscription keys, and you can assign these each subscription key into particular client. So the client who is having the subscription key only can access the APIM. So in that sense, like if somebody tries to call your function, that person have to only know the APIM URL. So APIM will know how to route back to the necessary services. So whenever you provide this request to APIM will check whether you have the subscription key, and if you have the subscription key only, it will allow you to access. So that is kind of tokenized authentication mechanism where you are only allowed to access APIM with the given subscription key, and your backend services can be restricted to allow access only from APIM. So that means APIM will be the only person who can access the backend services and let the traffic, or like let the call come in and return the data or something like that. So in that case, what would happen is whenever you make a call, it will be pre-checked for the access key, and then if the access key is wrong, APIM will reject the call saying you are not authorized to access this APIM. So that way you can easily block your backend from outside attacks, and outside person will not know what is the backend implementation, even if manages to access the APIM. Okay. So it has policy implementations, and developers also having a separate developer portal for APIM, where you can go ahead and set up how the API is routed through to the backend. So this is a really good implementation. Like even though the authentication is like identity is a primary concern, the identity is supported with the subscription keys, but here there is some sort of a network security is enabled as well in the way of implementing some sort of IP restriction to the API management. So the other option is using the app gateway, like we have tried in the sample. And app gateway is coming with a web application firewall, which is actually protecting you from several type of attacks and things that can happen to a web application. So if somebody is trying to do a SQL injection, or even cross-site scripting, or even try to do, say, for example, try to do some common attack kind of misconfiguration or something like that. So that can be easily protected from this application gateway. And I forgot to mention that in the APIM there is course policies that you can define under the policies. That kind of course policies will, I mean, you can set up special cross-domain policies where certain routing is enabled from a given domain to another, and you can ensure whatever the permitted domain routing will be allowed, so that if some call is coming from outside of that allowed course policies, it will be rejected. So even if somebody is finding your subscription key, if that person is calling from some sort of outside domain, he wouldn't be able to get into the backend because the APIM can prevent that. Even web application firewall is enabled with such cross-site scripting protection and all those things automatically. So you just have to enable WAF, and then you have to configure that so that it will prevent any sort of attack. So there is a possibility of using APIM and app gateway in combination. So when it is used in combination, in the sense you can put APIM inside a VNet, and you can protect your backend. And for your internal corporate network also, you can expose an endpoint maybe through APIM directly. And for the outside world, you can expose it via app gateway. So app gateway would be calling the APIM. So app gateway will be using a web application firewall, and it can block the calls from like any sort of attacks, or any SQL injection or cross scripting kind of things coming into your application. And your backend will be further protected by APIM. Like even internal calls, internal call will go through APIM, so that it will check whether the subscription is there, and whether it's authenticated, and whether it's coming from the valid domain or valid cross-domain policy is applied. So that way you can actually protect your APIs and your backend in a secure manner. And but this implementation, when you are using APIM inside a virtual network, it is a bit costly. So there is another way of implementing this, that is putting your application gateway in the middle, and your APIs are in behind the application gateway, and then you can do kind of APIM outside of your VNet, which is allowing you to set up it as basic pricing tier, which is again better than having nothing. So I mean, it's not the ideal solution for protecting, but it's better than not having an APIM. So if it is expensive for you to keep it in virtual network, what you can do is you can put it outside the virtual network and still route whatever the calls come into this APIM to the app gateway, which will actually then take the routing into the backend. So that sort of an implementation is also a possibility. The next stuff is how you can set up the app service environment. Service environment is a totally isolated environment, which is actually can be used when you need more than 30 app service plans. So this is actually app service environment would be supporting more than around 200 apps app service plans, and you can use total network isolation, and it will be all the now in here in an app service plan environment, whatever the app services that you are put inside the app service environment would be totally secured from outside network access. So it can be only accessed via the app gateway and firewalls that are implemented. And even if you want to implement CI/CD into app service environment, what would you have to do is you have to set up a virtual machine inside this app service environment, because the access to stuff like Kudos, like when you are deploying Azure PaaS, the app service environment, what you are using is implementing deployments via Kudos. So if you are using such deployment, what you have to do is you have to set up a virtual machine. So inside this app service environment, which can actually talk to your maybe Azure DevOps instance, or like even if you're using Jenkins, maybe you can set up a Jenkins agent inside this network, and then let that internal network talk to these app services, etc. Because those app services only can be accessed via inside the app service environment for the purpose of accessing deployments, or even managing security, or even intra deployments, or whatever you want to do inside the app service environment. So it's not possible for you to apply any changes to your website outside from app service environment. So the accessibility will be only allowed to inbound traffic from through the WAF and the application gateway firewall and the load balancers into the app service environment, where you wouldn't be able to perform a deployment kind of a scenario. So this is a really good way of securing your application, but this sort of implementation is a very costly implementation, because Azure App Service environment, isolated environment, would be costing bit of a fortune. So in your basic implementations, I would still recommend for you to go ahead with simple IP restriction based implementation. Maybe put up APIM and app gateway in the front, and then protect your backend, so that will be better implementation for most of these scenarios, other than maybe if you are implementing some sort of a defense system, or like highly secure data system, which is actually needing app service environment, you can consider this setup as well. All right. With that, I will move on to Azure Security Center, because Azure Security Center is providing a couple of services where you can do a lot of work in the sense of securing your PaaS and even the infrastructure as a service stuff. So let me have a look at that. So the Azure Security Center first allows you to do some policy management. So why this is required is in the cloud-based redundant scenarios, always the things are rapidly changing. So your workloads will be rapidly changing, and all over the place the people will be creating app services, function apps, and maybe messaging protocols such as using service bus, etc. And you will be implementing a lot of cloud-based implementations there. So that means it's already rapidly changing. So your implementation might be a lot changing, but Azure Security Center can actually monitor all these changes happening and whether they are happening on the proper applicable policy set is adhered or not. That can be verified easily with Azure Security Center. So you can even define your custom rules, or you can utilize the existing rule set, which is by default created by Microsoft, where most of the things and security scenarios are covered. So it will report you the any vulnerabilities that is happening. And the other concern is in this current scenario, the attacks are actually more sophisticated. So it's important for you to know how these cloud-based environments are vulnerable and like where are your vulnerabilities before you get attacked. So that is also one of the services this Azure Security Center would be providing. And the other consideration is if you try to implement your own security mechanisms when it comes to cloud services, you may not have the necessary expertise, and you may not have the necessary experience to implement or the money to implement such costly services. But Microsoft has invested in that a lot, and then they have come up with all these facilities where we can utilize for a nominal price and then get the benefit of the service. The other thing is like it's when it comes to compliance, let's say you are implementing certain healthcare applications or something like that. So Microsoft has covered your back, and then it's the health compliance, the necessary compliances and everything is obtained for this Azure Security Center. So you can rely on like if you're implementing such a solution using Azure PaaS, you can always guarantee that the business is having the necessary compliance needs when you're implementing stuff with Azure PaaS, because you can implement Azure Security Center and make sure your security is there. And the Azure Security Center has another option called continuous assessment, which would further help in this process, because it is going to monitor the all the services and all the platform services, as well as even infrastructure as a service, such as your virtual networks, site-to-site VPN, maybe express route or whatever. So that can be monitored via this continuous assessment, and it will provide beforehand any attack happens, it will provide information on whether there's a vulnerability or if you are already secured or what are the recommendations to do. And all this information will be provided with this continuous assessment mode of the Azure Security Center. And there's another option in this Azure Security Center where you can do kind of network map. This is mostly going with when you're implementing infrastructure as a service rather than the platform as a service implementation. So I'm adding this because this is also valid information for you to know. So this network map kind of a scenario will show you all the security loopholes and whether the configuration is all right. And if there is any issues in protocols or anything, so that can be identified and you can immediately block them, or like you can fix the issues using this network map feature available in the Azure Security Center. And there is another facility in Azure Security Center which is actually letting you configure the recommendations via the Security Center. Like you don't have to go into individual resources and do the changes. What the Azure Security Center would be doing is you will be provided with the recommendations and what are the applicable resources. So you can select the resources and then apply such things, maybe in a night time or something like that. You can configure so that the necessary required recommendations would be automatically applied into your infrastructure or even into your platform services. So that's another benefit of using Azure Security Center. So it's rather than you trying to implement or like find out what are the vulnerabilities, it's easier for detecting and even applying the recommendations there. And there is a further alert system which is available with the Security Center, which will alert you whenever there is a protection threat or something like that. So if you implement it this way, so what you can do is you can identify the threats before they actually occur. So you can take the necessary corrective actions. Further, there is a couple of things in when it comes to integration with the Microsoft Defender endpoints. So that means like whenever you utilize virtual machines as infrastructure, that is also automatically getting protected, integrating with the Microsoft Defender inside those machines, and that is integrated into the Azure Security Center and getting your applications deployed in your VMs also protected. So some people still prefer to set up virtual machine network and then deploy your stuff into IIS or whatever the things. And the not only Windows machines, it can actually this Azure Security Center can protect all the Linux machines that are implemented inside Azure as infrastructure as service as well. And when it comes to protection of the PaaS, the Security Center helps you to detect the threats across the PaaS services. So you can actually detect anything targeting Azure service, even including Azure App Service or Azure Storage. If there is any attack or anything, it can be detected, and you can take the necessary actions on that via the Azure Security Center. And so there's another thing called brute force attacks. So that is actually so limit the exposure of your VMs, etc., so that it will prevent the unnecessary access to your VMs and your networks, and you can restrict the IPs and maybe incoming IP sources, and you can that way prevent any attacks into those areas as well. And there is a special data service protection as well. Especially it will, I mean, Azure Security Center will take care of Azure SQL Server as a major protection area, and it will monitor any threats to Azure SQL Server. Even SQL injection, which is trying to happen, will be prevented by the Security Center. So with that information, I think I have come to an end of this session. So I think we can go for the questions and answers if there is any.
Yes, Chaminda, there are a couple of questions. I will read them to you.
Okay.
One person is asking, when it comes to securing APIMs, having the subscription key validation is enough, or should we implement some sort of a certification authentication as well?
APIM is actually you can make HTTPS as well. So having a certification is better. And then like subscription key is already there, and APIM is anyway like kind of you better put it behind an app gateway rather than, I mean, the certification should come into not to APIM. It is already HTTPS based your local URL when you are using it from Azure services. What you can do is put a app gateway in front of your APIM. So then your app gateway listeners should be protected with a certificate. So that way you can implement HTTPS listeners in the app gateway. So that will be routing back to your APIM. So that should be the ideal setup rather than trying to expose your APIM outside.
Okay. So the next question is, can single page applications be secured using Azure AD without hard coding the tenant ID and the client ID in the SBA app using the Azure Key Vault?
If it depends on the single page application implementation mechanism that is used. For example, I am using React based ASP.NET Core applications. So in that case, I am able to apply certain configurations via app settings and even Azure app configurations, which can be accessed. I mean, those features like Azure app configurations, it's a new feature released in last February, which can actually access information from your keyboard. So it's like the tech. It depends on bit on your technology implementation, but it's a possibility.
Okay, so the last question is, can custom claims be stored in Azure AD against each user of an app that is protected by Azure AD?
I didn't get that, please. Sorry.
Can custom claims be stored in Azure AD against each user of an application that is protected by Azure AD?
I already have implemented such scenario, yes.